Hello, so this is a quick video on 11 things you need to do before signing a lease. Most of us have heard some cringe-worthy rental stories, or even experienced a few. Unresponsive landlords, bug problems, or sneaky language can all make your living situation dreadful. Personally, I have had one landlord that was a nightmare to contact for repairs or anything else for that matter. I remember once my wall broke down and got a hole in it just from me leaning on it. I could actually see into my neighbor's house. He fixed it by just screwing in a board. You could actually still see because the board didn't fit the hole perfectly into my neighbor's house like that much. So we actually put a poster there, but you could tell the house itself was just not made with good material. So avoiding these problematic situations starts with signing effective lease agreements that will secure harmony between tenants and landlords. An ideal relationship needs open communication from the beginning to ensure that the landlord will be attentive to the tenant and the tenants will be respectful. To help, I've compiled this list of 11 tips to better understand your lease and ensure you'll enjoy your living conditions for the duration of the contract. So once again, this is 11 things you need to do before signing a lease agreement. 1. Know how to read a lease. This might sound basic, but the truth is that learning how to read a lease is a skill all people should have. At the very least, we should all be able to decipher legal language so we can catch any tricky situation before it becomes a legally binding nightmare. 2. Avoid generic agreements. Most lease agreements are based on a similar template, but language can vary between contracts. Generic agreements can spell disaster and may omit special provisions like extensions, move-in and move-out dates, and damage limits. Always make sure the agreement explicitly states the address of the unit, the name of the landlord, contact information of the landlord and maintenance personnel, deposits and rent amounts, and expected utilities. 3. Include a severability clause. A severability clause is your best friend in a lease agreement. This clause protects a renter by keeping the contract intact, even if one part turns out to be illegal or unenforceable. In other words, if you discover something illegal in your agreement after it's signed, you can get that single piece removed without the rest of the contract falling apart. 4. Understand local and state laws. Laws will vary state to state. What may be legal in one state may not be in another. The two most important documents you should read entirely before renting are your lease and your state's rental rate laws. Make sure that the boring legal language covers every detail so that you're set in the event of a dispute. 5. Look out for illegal clauses. Once you brush up on the law, look out for anything that seems unenforceable. For example, landlords are required to provide maintenance, so any clause that says otherwise should get booted. This should cover the apartment state at the end of the lease too. Mild carpet stains and picture hanging holes are well within reason, but expecting every inch of the apartment to be brand new is way past okay. 6. Note your late payment penalties. Make sure the landlord acknowledges grace periods for late payments so you won't get stuck with feeling fees in a bad situation. Generally, late fees are enforced as a fee per day basis, so watch for any language that references ponying up any extra dough. 7. Outline utility responsibility. The landlord usually has to pay for gas and electric if the utilities are in his or her name, unless each unit has its own meter. Also, landlords can't use your security deposit to pay for it, so don't let that get into your lease. 8. Make house rules clear. House rules aren't just common courtesy, they're quite a big deal. It's your responsibility to understand how much noise you can make and when you can make it before signing a lease. Without clear-cut noise and disturbance rules, your landlord can crack down on even the smallest offenses. 9. Check pet provisions. Don't be surprised if find landlords who are wary of furry friends. Even if your advertisement stated some pets are allowed, do your due diligence and double check. Unfortunately, landlords are allowed to charge extra for pet owners over those tenants who don't own pets. The fees may be negotiable, however, some don't, so don't be afraid to ask. 10. Also understand subleasing. Arguably one of the most important aspects of any leasing agreement is the subleasing clause. Some landlords don't allow subleasing, while others charge extra fees and don't or expect cuts of the additional rent. Ask questions so this clause is clear to both of you before signing. And 11, know your rights. Here are 2 basic things you should always keep in mind. Your rent can't go up until the contract expires, and you can't be evicted without breaching the contract. At the end of the day, landlords are running a business, and tenants want to be a peaceful existence. With a little negotiating, both sides should be able to walk away happy. So that's it as far as 11 things you should do before signing a lease. Thank you for listening.